is my ongoing goal to be able to support you as the very best way that I can. And in order to do that, I really need to get to know you a little bit better, what your personal needs are for supporting you as a parent on this journey of children with autism, and with your child, what their needs are and what you would like to help them most with. Because there may be many things, but there's usually a few top pieces that are very, very important to you that you know your child is really struggling with and you would like help with. And so in order to find out how I can support you best, I have created a short quiz. It's at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/quiz. And if you take that short quiz, you'll be able to give me some information and I'll get back to you with some results and how I can direct you to the resources that I feel would help you best right now for where you are on this journey and for what you need for your particular specific child's needs. So I hope it's helpful. Again, go to naturallyrecoveringautism.com/quiz. Hi there again and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Today's episode is really near and dear to my heart. And the reason for that is because there is a lot of stress involved in being a parent, but especially in being a parent of a child with autism. There are additional challenges. And I know that personal experience that home life can get very chaotic. And if we have the more tools that we have to help our own ability to stay calm and to teach our children these things and communicate without yelling and reducing our stress level in any way we can, this is very important. I've done past episodes on things like mindset and tapping and ways to stay calm, 7 ways to stay calm. And I'll link to all of those in today's show notes. Today we have a guest with us who I will introduce, and we're going to be talking about how to create happy families. And it's through something called mindfulness, which is actually a specific type of, I'll say technique, except I'll let our guest explain it more thoroughly, of course. So I'm going to give you a little background. Ana Vega is here with us today. She's the founder of Happy Families and an international parenting expert, coach, and consultant. After growing up with a mom living with severe schizophrenia, she became a vice president of NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, the largest mental health organization helping people affected by mental illness and their families. Then, while working as a journalist and an entrepreneur and becoming a mom, she developed a passion for parenting and helping other parents. So today we're going to be going into what this mindfulness is and really how it can affect and help families. So Ana, thank you for being here, first of all. And would you please share with us a little bit more about your background and of course about your work?
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today with you. Thank you for inviting me. So my background, well, I started working as a journalist, at 18, and then did other things and became an entrepreneur. And then when I had my son, I started reading, everything I could about child development and child psychologist, because I had such a difficult childhood. I didn't want to make many mistakes raising my child. So I started doing that, reading everything I could. So my friends started coming to me for advice all the time. And one way or another, most of the time I had the answer. So I became their, an official parenting coach for, different ages. And then, I became very passionate about it. So I decided to get educated, and on parenting, different ways to deal with parenting. So I got trained in positive parenting from Yale. Yale has a center of parenting. They do a lot of studies and research on what works, what doesn't work with children or with anybody. Like the tools I use that they create. The professor would say these tools can be used with anybody, not just children. And then also got trained with in mindful parenting, which is it uses mindfulness, but it adds so much more. Because it adds also, the specifics of living with children and dealing with children and the reactions of parents, have specifically with their own children, which is a different relationship you have compared to your spouse or your friends or your family. So yeah, that's what I did, and then I started coaching professionally, and it started working really well, and people love it. It changes how they see a life and how they see other people, because it changes your point of view. So yeah, that's how I started.
And you say your program basically is for anyone at any age, but is there a specific type of person or family that you say is a good fit for this, and more so than someone else?
Not really. I mean, the mindful parenting program that I use or was trained in, they designed it thinking of families where there is a child or a parent with a difficulty, like a child with autism or ADHD, schizophrenia, depression, bipolar disorder, or with a parent with a mental health issue. And I use this program in mental health agencies where they treat the children, and they have done 3 different studies, and the success is 100%, because it completely changes how people relate to themselves first. And when you change how you relate to yourself, it changes automatically how you relate to others.
Right.
And that's how mindful parenting works.
There are a lot of people I know that do react instead of respond, and we react emotionally based on usually our own life experiences, things that, or if we're really, really stressed, we might, be more irritable. Of course, I work a lot with the biology and pathogens, candida, Lyme disease, all of these things will cause a lot of irritation and create more anger in a person. So again, working with the biology helps to calm the brain and the body. But there are life experiences, as you mentioned, like, depending on your own childhood or things that have happened to you, that are how we can, we relate to other people and how we have relationships. So can you describe your program, Happy Families, to us?
It's a 12-week program, and you need every week. It's like a progress. Like with a child, they learn how to sit, and then they crawl, and they walk, and then they run. Right. So it's the same. You have to first have some skills. And every week there's a progress. So there's 12 weeks, and I do one-on-one. I've done sometimes group coaching too, which is really great because people learn from each other and they support each other. And then, what I do, the first part of the session, I do the mindful parenting part of the program, and then the second half is the positive parenting. And so we progress together with both programs, and it makes sense, to use both, because you can, have these tools of, how to say things, how to deal with this situation. But like you said, if you're stressed out, or, you're right, if you're stressed out or you're sick, or you have big issue, you're not as patient, and you're more judgmental actually too of things and people. So if you're not able to stay in the moment, present, and to stay calm, then you can, if you're not in that state of mind, you can use the positive parenting tools that you know, because you're in a state of mind of just where there's no logic and there's no thinking, just in this emotional state of just reacting, and being annoyed or angry. So in order to use the tools that you learn to positive parenting, you need to be calm first. If you're not, you're not going to use those tools. So it's a waste of time if you have them and if you learn them and then you don't learn how to stay calm so that you can use them. So that's how it works. And and basically what it really does, especially the mindful parenting part, is when you as a parent, as an adult, learn how to, accept and allow your emotions, then you're able automatically to allow and accept your child's emotions. And like Buddhists say, mindfulness is used based a lot on Buddhism. Is suffering is when we don't allow things as they are. Whatever is happening, if you don't allow it, you fight it, that's suffering. But actually, there are some of them that believe that not allowing, like if you're sad or you're angry or whatever, and you push that part of you, it's like some kind of a self-aggression against yourself, because that part of you, that emotion, is you. So you push it away, you reject it. It's like, some kind of rejection towards yourself, and it's like kind of like an aggression, like as if your child comes to you crying and you reject them, like, no, go away. That's kind of like aggression, but we do it to ourselves. So when you stop doing that and accepting everything, then you learn how to do that with the rest of the world. Yeah.
And staying calm can be really challenging, especially when you're stressed. And children with autism in particular can be a little bit more challenging depending on, their defiance or their inability to listen. Do you have any specific suggestions for parents who are working with a child like that with some special needs? Or have you worked, I don't know how much work you've done with that or what you could suggest?
Yeah, it's with any kind of difficulty you have with your children, it starts, like they say, the base is accepting, wherever they, the defiance, just accept it. And when you do that, the child feels that energy and they are able to calm down. They've done studies where if you're next to someone who is nervous, you become nervous. And if you're next to someone who's calm in a situation that is chaotic or whatever, or dangerous, you are able to stay calm. It's just like this, very special, quality of humans. We're such social animals. So yeah, if you accept your child, with defiance or whatever they're doing, you just allow it, and they feel that, they will calm down, because they feel like you're fighting it, they fight back, So yeah, that's one of the tips you could use, in that situation, for example.
And they're picking up our energy, and we pick up other people's energy, just like you had just mentioned. But especially children and parents are really in tune with each other, and that's why if you're going towards your child and you're feeling anxious or stressed, they're picking that up, so then they become more anxious and stressed too. And before we talked a little bit about, I've done episodes on mindset, which is basically ways to clear mind, and on tapping and clearing the emotional pathways, and a lot of different work, emotion code. But you had mentioned that mindfulness is a little different, because you had said it's more about really making it so that your mind stops, so that there's nothing going on. So can you explain more about that? Like what it is that you're teaching people to do? Like just give an example.
Mm-hmm. Well, mindset is, what I understand mindset to be is trying to create this, state of mind or thoughts or emotions, positive, what they call positive. With mindfulness, well, you don't actually try to be, not think of anything. I mean, when you meditate, yes, the purpose is you're focusing on your breath. But when the mind is a thinking machine. So when you're meditating, for example, and you start thinking about something, whatever, a worry or something you have to do today, you don't say, oh my God, I'm thinking, I'm meditating wrong. What's wrong with me? I don't know how to meditate. No, that is completely normal. So you don't judge that you went away to a thought. You say, oh, I was thinking, and you celebrate that you caught yourself. Oh my God, yeah, I'm celebrating. I was mindful because I caught myself. And then you go back to the breath. And then again, you start thinking about something else, of course. And you're like, oh my God, I caught myself again. Yay, celebrate that. Oh my God. And again, I've been mindful. I'm being successful. And you go back to the breath. And when people do it wrong, it's like, oh, my mind went somewhere else. Oh my God, I'm doing it wrong. There's judgment. It's like, no, you caught yourself. It's like, oh, this is awesome. I'm awesome. I'm being mindful right now. Celebrate yourself. And then, yeah, so the more, you do that, the more you meditate, the less often you go into thinking about things, but you just observe the thoughts of whatever you're thinking as if they're not yours. You might think, my mind is thinking this, but it's not me. So you create a space between, because when you observe something, you create a space. So for example, in a situation with your child where you are overwhelmed, you stop and you start with feeling the sensations in your body and observe them. And that's called the noticing brain. When you start paying attention to the sensations in your body, that automatically calms you down. It's like it's biology. And then by observing your body sensations, you are able to automatically calm down. And then, whatever you're thinking or feeling, you just observe that. Don't judge it at all. So, you practice that a lot. It takes a lot of practice and meditation and mindfulness and mindful days that I give people to, as homework. And then you have practice and practice, like anything, like a muscle, you have to do it until you get better at it. And you're going to fail many times. It's not failure. It's just, that it becomes a habit with time, right? So yeah, that's basically what it is you don't try to push things away. You just, oh, that's interesting, observe them and that's it. You don't try to push them, you don't have to change them. You just don't try to change anything and just accept things and allow things to be how they are.
A lot of things I know are based in the subconscious. It's developed by the time we're the age of 7. And so I would imagine like this is more like that. It's so far sounding like the work that I've done with some mindfulness in the past. There were some things we did with the body, positioning hands, etc., that along meridian, so that it helps to get to the subconscious in some way, because we can really, this is why where I think talk therapy without something that reaches the subconscious can be flawed, because it just keeps bringing it alive, for one, if we're talking about it. But we're wanting to change our mind. A lot of people say, oh, I want to be calm, so I'm going to practice being calm. And they'll practice and practice, and it takes a lot of practice. And some people can reach that or a better level, but I find it's really reaching the subconscious level. Is there something in your mindfulness work that you do that reaches the subconscious level to help really retrain old ways at a level that is not conscious?
Well, one way is the kind of reactions that you have with your child, let's say. Part of the mindful parenting program, they use schemas, which is this habitual kind of reactions that people might have. And you observe, okay, I'm reacting as a punitive parent, or I'm reacting as a scared child. Like my tendency was to whatever my child, wanted or was demanding, and subconsciously, I was subconscious. I will think, if my child is angry at me, I don't give him what he wants, he will not love me, he will abandon me. And that's why you give in. But it's all subconscious, but you learn, those reactions that you have, the schemas, you become aware of those. Oh, I'm reacting in this way with this role, and then you catch yourself doing that more and more and more, and you're able to change that, change your reaction.
In your program has modules, I assume they're at levels, like you start at a lower level, just becoming, I'm guessing, kind of more awareness, and then you move on beyond that. So what comes like in the future, like after awareness, what do you move toward in them? What do the pieces of each kind of give you?
Okay, one thing, for example, would be let's say I'm debating which one to bring up. Well, one would be, setting limits with yourself. understanding, like listening to your body and what your body is telling you, hey, you're too overwhelmed, you need to take a break. And you learn how to listen to your body and then know when you need a break and ask for other people to help you take that break and take care of yourself, physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and you learn how to do that for yourself and communicate to others that that's what you need. Because we're talking about at the beginning about stress. We live as parents, we live with a lot of stress. As a species, most of our time as a species, we for tens of thousands of years, parents, when they had a child, they had as an average 15 people to help them.
In the old
Imagine
days,
that.
right?
You have a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God, pass it to the aunt, the uncle, the grandma, the sister, the brother, all this support system. Right. We don't have that. Right. It's insane. It really is insane. Then also another thing is because mothers will breastfeed, most of the time when you do that, you are not fertile, and then you don't have your second child, until maybe your first one is 3 or 4 years old. But today, people have their children sometimes, a year and a half, 2 years after the first one. That's, it's not natural, because you still have this little child that needs so much attention, and you add a newborn, so that creates so much stress. So this the way we live life in modern days is adding like 10 times more stress than what is necessary. So that's why we have to find ways to reduce our stress, take care of ourselves more than we do normally. Pay more attention to when we feel that limit. We feel we get into that edge of like losing it, and being moody and not being as happy to be around. Because I think the best gift you can give your child is a happy mom or dad.
Yeah,
that's what they're going to remember. That you were in a good mood, you were loving, and you were playful. They're not going to remember the toys or the house you lived in.
Mm-hmm. And to be playful. That's the thing, is we always feel so challenged, especially again with a special needs child. There's a lot of worry, there's a lot of fear, and everybody, especially if you can sometimes not even go to the grocery store with them, because they might just throw themselves on the floor in a tantrum and you can't even get them out. And people don't understand what's going on at all, and if they don't have a child with autism, they really don't know. In fact, I was in the airport the other day and I saw a child and he was really acting out, and all these people were looking at him, and I knew right away, I said, that child's on the spectrum. Because and I felt for the mom, where not everybody is feeling for the mom or understanding the moment. And I think that's where we really need to just, one, appreciate other people, that they're doing their best to the best that they can.
Yep.
And with the skills that they have, and anything we can do to increase our own parenting skills, or our own skills on the way that we ask, as you said, for our needs and communicating them, because a lot of people really don't ask for what they need or ask for help.
I didn't.
Especially women. It's really, really common. Yeah. And we don't have the family support and the extended family like we used to a lot of time. Some do, and they're very fortunate. I'm always so happy in my program when somebody says, I'm the grandma and I'm helping out. I'm like, oh, thank you, because it's so important. But not everybody's got that. So you got to really do as much work as you can on yourself. Maybe you only have 5 minutes a day to do that, but that's okay. Take it, because anything is going to help. Because if you don't take care of yourself, then you'll end up likely sick, or something can happen where you're not as available for your child, or the people who need you. And we have to really know that it's okay to take care of ourselves. A lot of people need to, especially women, again, as caretakers, just sort of traditionally, will take care of others and kind of forget about ourselves. So really important to make sure that you're taking the time for you.
Yeah, like you say, especially with women, we judge ourselves when we are not there for everybody, and we just are selfish. Because no, you're not being selfish. You're helping yourself to be in a better mood, let's say, and that's going to help your child. But we don't realize how in our own homes growing up, or even society, how much judgment there is. There's
Yes.
so much judgment about everything. I didn't do this. I did that. It was too much. I didn't do enough. Or society, oh, you're not this enough. Or so much judgment. That's why in our heads, Um, so just by being mindful about these thoughts that are not yours, they were implanted there. Obviously judgment, it was implanted into your mind. um you realize they're not yours, and you just observe them, and you don't try to change them. They change when you don't try to change them. Because if you judge yourself for having judgmental thoughts,
Right. What are we
you're
doing?
judgmental of yourself too. you know
And if we're
so,
judgmental of ourselves and the way that we feel about ourselves, then we're often doing that toward other people. This is a real strong projection. You can watch somebody judging somebody else. They're reflecting really what they're feeling about themselves. Things that they do toward other people are things that they're feeling about
oh
themselves.
yeah.
So the more that we appreciate ourselves and pay attention, especially first to the feeling that you have in your body. I always say, where are you feeling the stress? First, feel your body sensations. Are you feeling it in your solar plexus, your stomach, your heart, your throat? Where do you feel that your body might be tightening up, and and just start paying attention. And that is your first clue that something's up. And then stop yourself. Are you a glass half empty or a glass half full person too? Do you see things in a positive light, or at least make an effort to, or to become conscious of doing that? Okay, so this is a situation like we talked about earlier. This isn't a failure. I'm learning. I'm here to learn, and I'm learning from my experiences. And what do I have to take away from this, that next time I'm in this situation, I can make it better, or it could be made better because I have more knowledge. It's all about education and educating ourselves. But awareness is definitely the first step and the first key.
Yeah, and it's not your fault,
Right.
You're human,
Blame. Yep.
and you were trained a certain way, but your family or society, and it's not your fault, and you're human. So yeah, it's and then that is going to be transferred to your children too. How you judge yourself, or they hear you judging others, then they will be self-judgmental, because it's the culture of judgment in general. So they will become judgmental of themselves, also. And you don't want that. You don't want to walk around like, when they are
cynical. Yeah. Cynical people are often in pain. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, the positive parenting part is helping children, change habits, whatever they are, with tools that use the subconscious and use the body, actually, for them to want to, let's say, I don't know, homework, instead of rejecting homework, wanting to do homework, and how you don't sit there with logic, oh, homework is important because school is important. It's not going to go anywhere with logic. So there's all these wonderful tools to use to help children, do better,
Mm-hmm.
in many areas, whatever areas,
Yeah, the more knowledge we have, the more we can teach positive. Last thing I wanted to know too, of course, with the pandemic, a lot of parents are forced into homeschooling, or they just are, but they're having challenges. They're at home more. Do you have any suggestions for people to make life during the pandemic a little easier?
Okay. Let's see. Well, one thing you can do, for example, is, children normally are talked to mostly when they're doing something wrong, or to receive an order, like, oh, make your bed, or come here, or don't do that. What are you doing? And I don't know if you've heard that for every negative interaction we have with our children or with an adult, with every negative interaction, negative interaction weighs as much as 5 positive interactions.
On the mind of the person we're saying it to, or on ourselves?
Yes.
On the other person, right? Because we'll remember something negative that somebody said or hurtful that somebody said to us more so than something positive, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you tell your child, oh, you're whatever, something that didn't feel good to them, or is a correction, then you have to think, oh, like, okay, I have to then say something, 5 things that are either positive or what is called neutral attention. Because also children get attention when either doing something bad or something amazing, right? Oh my God, or like, you're not doing this, the extremes. They don't get the 99% of the time that they're alive, they get no attention for that. So it's something called neutral attention, which is, commenting on wherever they're doing in any moment and observing that and making a comment about that. So they're seeing, in everyday moment, instead of just when they misbehave or when they do something amazing, whatever, so that's one thing that you can do, is to help the stress level and for them to feel more connected to you, because the more connected to your child is to you, the better the relationship is, and the more they want to collaborate. So if you practice giving them more, not only positive attention, but neutral attention, that will be very helpful because the more connected you are with your child, their stress level is lower. And, I like to say, instead of a child is misbehaving, a child is stress behaving.
Yes.
That's what it is.
And it's important. I always want to remind our listeners that especially children with autism are often reacting in ways that they would not if their biology was not so inflamed. The pathogens, and the toxins, a lot of the heavy metals, mercury can cause a lot of anger. Lyme disease can cause anger and rage. Candida causes a lot of irritability, inability to think clearly, and again, some more anger and issues. So these tantrums and things that we're seeing, or them not listening, or they're not doing that. I always tell parents, your child is not an angry child. It's that their brain and their body are so toxic and so inflamed that they cannot truly be who they are. And I know this from personal experience, watching my son when he was a little boy having these wild tantrums. And today, now that all the toxins and the pathogens have been removed, he's the most calmest, easygoing guy, and it's a complete opposite of how he was when he was still toxic and inflamed. I also really want to make sure that I mention to not listen to these negative people who give these negative comments to us, especially the naysayers. I work with this, I see this all the time, especially on social media. People, you can't recover from autism, and really, well, my son did. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to know what you want to call it, and I say everybody's level of recovery is different, but I do know that every child can improve greatly. And a child who maybe was getting D's and F's can now get A's and B's, and who couldn't make friends and have social interactions now has friends, and who was screaming in tantrums. One mom said 24/7, her child was screaming, breaking things, dangerous, violent. He's now calm, easy, happy, laughing, easygoing. That is a strong form of recovery. Maybe they didn't have their diagnosis removed like my son and some of the parents that I've worked with, but they have improved greatly. So do not listen to naysayers and people who tell you that something can't happen or your child can't get better. This is it. When people are being negative, it's based on their limited knowledge or their own emotional issues. So they're trying to put it out there. Why would somebody want to say something truly negative to somebody else? What's their point? Why would they want to do that? And if they're usually wrong reasons for that. And so just always keep that in mind, that You have to know in yourself, you can say what to, thinking you can say whatever you want to other people, but I know what I'm looking at, and I'm going to continue to educate myself to learn more. And so that I have answers about what I want to learn about instead of just listening to somebody who's saying something negative, or knowing that somebody says a negative comment to you and you can say something internally strong to yourself to, I am good, I'm deserving, like, or somebody says you don't deserve this, or this is your fault. No, this isn't my fault. This is just a situation that I'm in, and I'm learning. I'm learning something from it, and I'm going to continue to learn and help it improve. That is about the mindset and that mindful. You need to be able to control how you feel about your environment, because there will always be factors that are going to come at you that you want to be able to have more and more strength against, to just stay in a positive mode, because this world does need more positive people anyway. So be one of them.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. And then, people, like you said, who are negative, again, just allow them to be negative and don't judge them.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I think this is a good place to end today's episode. Anna, thank you very much for being here with us. The website, anavegacoach.com, and I will put it on the show notes as well. And you can use a code naturally with it as well, but you can learn more about Anna there. And again, I will link to many of the things and some of the past episodes I've done around, these subconscious beliefs and how to help yourself with them. I'll link to in the show notes today. So again, thank you so much for being here and being a positive parent and working towards helping your child and doing all that you can for them, because they do need you, and it's important that you take care of yourself, which is ultimately important. And Anna, again, thank you for being here with us. I appreciate your time, and look forward to talking to you again.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, take care. We'll see you soon.
Take care. Bye.